the next stage here is a very important one. In my opinion, probably the most important stage. And what it is rolling out to win. At the end of the day, you can buy the best software out there with the flashiest lights, the greatest reporting, dashboards, everything. But if you can't roll it out and you can't get adoption, it doesn't matter. Who better to talk about this than our Director of Customer Success, who has rolled out hundreds of customers. Tell us a little bit about your world.
Yeah, my world is, as Gabe mentioned, I'm the Director of Customer Success here at Salus. So we oversee the rollout and implementation for all of our customers. We also manage those relationships, well beyond the implementation phase and kind of throughout the entire life cycle of the customer.
Now, before we get into the slides, Blair, tell me about something. This is something that you really brought to our team. And before you came, it was actually my brother who was working support and rollout and everything. We had about 4 people when you joined, or 5. And you really identified that we were a very reactive company. We were always just putting out fires. We were like there to support our customers, trying to build a relationship. But you really pulled us in and said, look, we need to start being proactive. We need a shift. And we need to start helping our customers. Yes, there's a reactive side, but tell me why it matters so much to have a proactive approach to customer success and onboarding.
Yeah, excuse me.
That's a great.
I think proactivity is kind of one of the pillars of really strong customer success function. There's been a lot of talk here about being a partnership, and that's kind of what we believe in here as well, right? So we don't want to wait for customers to call us. We want to reach out to them, see how things are going, help them solve problems, help them kind of get to that next level, keep moving forward, always getting better, that type of thing.
When a company is looking for a software, really look for that, dig into the customer success side, make sure it's not, we're there when you need us. They're really proactive in their approach, making sure that they're finding something that's going to build a relationship.
Yeah, I think that it's paramount. I mean, technology is obviously great, but the whole experience of software goes well beyond just the actual, the bells and whistles and the features and things like that. The overall experience of who you're dealing with. Are they there when you need them? Do they care? Are they there to help you get better, or are they just there to make a dime?
Sell a product and check back with you on renewal. I get that. I see that with some of our software we use. The relationship aspect isn't there. It's truly they're just there to provide you a product, and sometimes that's okay. Sometimes we don't need that. But I can tell you, with safety, it's very complex. You do need that relationship, and it's not easy. And Blair, you've told me before, that first month is key. You got to be involved. You got to be there. The first month is everything. And we've identified something. And again, this is not us knowing everything. This is us experiencing so much over the last few years. And we're trying to bring this to you. And one of the things that we want to do in this process is identify things that we found to be things that have caused issues in a rollout, caused a rollout to fail, companies leaving potentially because they just couldn't get it off the ground. And so one of the things you called out is a champion. That's like a must-have. So tell me about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think having a champion, like you said, must-have. It's paramount to any successful rollout. I think this applies to really any piece of software you buy, whether it's safety software, accounting, what have you.
Yeah.
A lot of people think software is just kind of you plug it in and away you go. That's generally not the case, right? You need to set it up. You got to configure it, and then even after that, there's kind of the ongoing administration of the platform.
Right.
And these things take time, right? It's someone's time, someone in your organization. I mean, we're here to help, of course, but we can't manage the platform on your behalf, right? So having someone in place who really kind of lives and breathes safety. That's their world. They're dedicated to it. They have the time to spend on it is super important. Most companies that we've seen fail with their rollout, it's because they do have a champion, but that champion they're doing too many things. They're wearing too many hats. They might be running safety over here, but then over here they're dealing with accounting and finance. They might even be going out and getting contracts and things like that. And unfortunately, safety just often falls by the wayside, right? It's not, it's not a revenue generating activity in an organization. So it just kind of gets put on the back burner. And that's kind of, the number one reason I would say why some companies fail to roll out.
That's interesting. And you mentioned safety, but I'll ask you this. I mean, we've also seen companies that have 15 safety officers or 5 safety officers dedicated to safety. And we've also seen some of them struggle at the beginning to roll it out. But where we've seen that shift, even in those same companies, is they actually identify that the safety officers, yes, they're going to enforce the system and use it as a tool. But what we've seen is actually they bring in an administrator that can focus on the implementation aspect and the quarterbacking it all. It's about the first stage. The first, depending on the size of the company, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months of rollout that has to be coordinated. So does it have to be a safety officer?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be a safety officer. And, like you said, I mean, the first 3 months are obviously critical. Like, we can generally tell within 3 months of it bringing on a new customer whether it's gonna work out.
Yeah.
But like you said, I mean, every organization is different, right? The makeup is different, the size is different. So we see a lot of companies where it's not just one person, it's kind of a committee of people.
Right.
So maybe there is a safety officer involved. There could be, administrative people involved. When you think about rolling out a safety software, there's kind of 2 different elements to it. You have, of course, the safety side, which is, designing the safety program, implementing the safety program, and enforcing it, of course. But then you just have kind of the administrative side. It's just managing the platform, making sure the forms are up to date, user profiles, things like that, right? So sometimes you might have someone on the safety side just kind of overseeing that area, and then you'll have someone else who's maybe, it could be an administrative person. I've seen HR people, accounting people in some cases, where they're kind of in the office. They're the ones that are really keeping the platform up to date, and that allows the safety officer to really be out there, doing what they do best, right? Enforcing safety and that type of stuff.
The next thing that we want to talk about, and this is something that kind of ties into all of the struggles that we were talking about, and it's a champion matters, but also, Blair, tell me about why identifying a plan matters. Like you've told me, it's not just about rolling out a software, it's about, again, your team connecting with that team and understanding truly about where they want to go or what they want to. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I mean, well, we've built a kind of a prescribed onboarding program that we generally take all of our customers through. There's some flexibility there. We make adjustments for certain organizations based on their unique set of needs and things like that. But ultimately, that's key, right? Having kind of a roadmap, a timeline, identifying that right from day one, and then kind of ushering them through that process is incredibly important. And like you said, I mean, keep it simple, right? You don't need to do everything all at once, right? And any piece of software is going to come with a whole list of features. You don't need to use every feature on day one, right? Start small. Keep it simple. Focus on the core features of the product. Get those rolled out first, wait till you're successful with those,
right?
And then kind of build from there, right? Start to roll in other features after that, right? It's not really a race, we always look at this as like a long-term thing, right? We're not, we don't want to sign up customers for a year. We want to sign up customers for 10 years, 20 years, right?
Yes.
So there's no rush, right? It's do it correctly, do it methodically, and don't rush through it.
Yeah, that's a good point, Blair. And at the end of the day, again, we're using examples from what we've experienced with our customers, but it's not just about if you're working with Salus. Whatever software you're working with, and then, to be honest, this aligns even if it's not safety software. Make sure, the reason, like we said at the beginning, you're identifying pain in your business. That's the whole reason you're looking for a software. Replicate that first with the software. During the buying process, identify if that software, yes, you're going to get lost in what it can do in the future, but can it replicate what you're doing now? And the reason that's so important is because you need to eliminate the pain that your team has, your field workers, whoever's using it. And the minute you do that, if you can replicate what they're doing and then just provide them an easier solution, and sometimes it means taking a step back where you're only doing one form, like you've told me before, Blair, or 2 forms, and they see how easy it is and they see that it's making their life easier, you get buy-in. Once you get buy-in, that's key, right, Blair?
Yeah, absolutely. Getting buy-in from the field is obviously the number one thing, right? You got to accomplish that right off the bat as fast as possible. And then once you get that, things just kind of snowball from there. Like you said, they realize how easy it is. They realize, hey, you know what? This is actually making my job a little bit easier.
Yeah. One other thing that you've taught me as well, and some of the little tricks I've seen you use or your team use, is bring people in. a lot of the times during the buying process, not everyone has the privilege of seeing the product that they've bought, and change is difficult. And again, that gap we talked about between the field and the office, I know this from being in the field. It feels like another thing's being pushed on us. Another thing's being pushed on us. Bring them into the conversation. When you're creating those forms, bring them in and ask, hey, how do you like this? This is replicating what your form is now, but does that feel right for you and your crew? And allow them to play around with it and take them in, because then they feel like they're part of the solution. And again, make it easy, make them be a part of the solution, and then you can take it up. You can bring it to the next level. And that becomes easier because, again, bringing them into the conversation, but also it's just all of a sudden they open their phone or their device and a small change is there and it's not as overwhelming. And that's how you can really start to push innovation.